We had some problems early and often, as I'm sure you experienced. The closed alpha mostly identified some of these issues that have already been addressed since we had the closed alpha. Specifically with our login process and having users on for the first time, these are issues that would have been seen at launch. Seeing them in the alpha gives us a chance to focus on that area and hopefully rectify that before the game launches on the 23rd and 27th.
Wait, did you hear that, guys? The MLB The Show 18 closed alpha was a success. We found server issues and bugs and helped with hitting a little bit. I mean, I don't know how much, but it feels good to hear that maybe some things have been addressed from just playing. So I feel like, sure, there were some people who streamed, but I did also look at the Show Nation, and there were many of you who gave feedback, which was great. So thank you so much for doing that. And here's to a good MLB The Show 18 launch. So if you didn't watch the full stream, that was just a little excerpt, but I think maybe it's worth your time to watch. It's good to hear that some of the feedback was acknowledged in a bunch of different areas, like PCI related, and also hit types and speed, and like we mentioned, server improvements and more. And so we're just actually going to go straight into that right now, unfiltered, uncut. Take a look at the MLB The Show 18 community recap and let me know what you think down in the comments.
Hello, what's up everyone? Welcome to the MLB The Show 18 closed alpha community recap stream. So let's get right into it. First thing we want to say is thank you to everybody who participated in the closed alpha. We appreciate you taking the time to download it, play it, and give us your feedback and your comments. We saw a large number of new users on the Show Nation forums who posted in the closed alpha feedback, and it was great. Thank you so much. So let's talk about that feedback. When we streamed to tell you about the alpha, what we told you that closed alpha was about was two things: servers and hitting. So let's get right into some of the feedback. So first thing, hitting gameplay. One of the areas we saw the most feedback was hitting. That's also one of the areas we were really looking at. So we wanted to take a little bit of time to touch on some of the feedback that you guys sent to us. The PCI, I'm sure everybody noticed it. It was changed and the opacity was really high. That's already changed. We've dropped it down another 25–30%. It looks a lot better. That is actually something we wanted to get into the alpha, but due to time constraints, we couldn't drop that opacity. Also, the art was a little bit difficult to understand. I'm sure some of you noticed it was a little bit different, and there's a reason for that, which we'll explain in the gameplay stream in a few weeks. Another thing that people noticed was that your PCI art was locked. Even if you changed it in the option menus, it didn't really do anything. It was new art. We wanted to test it out, so we forced you into that. But when the game launches, you can switch and choose the other PCI option. So don't really worry about that. We just wanted attention and focus on that new art. Hitting success, weak power, weak fly balls, grounders. Not hard to make contact, but difficult to make solid contact. That was some of the feedback that we received. We heard it. When we released the alpha, we kind of were thinking internally that hitting was still maybe a little bit too hard, and we released it. That's pretty much the feedback we got back, so we were right on that end. Some more feedback. Folks thought they were getting under a lot of pitches. That is actually feedback that we're looking at today. Ain't that right, Lance? Yep. Okay, so that's something we're looking at today. Hitting feedback is still in the works, so the swing analysis, it's actually going to look quite a bit different when we ship the game. Some portions of the art that you saw will remain, but it's going to change quite a bit, and it already changed. Some of you might have caught on to some of those changes. We will explain all of the new changes to swing analysis and how it's going to function in the final version of the game in the gameplay stream. Another piece of feedback we heard, slow swings and this feeling like you were swinging underwater. That's a lot of the feedback that we heard. We're still investigating that feedback right now. Some other thing, catcher pass balls, blocking at the plate. There's a lot more animations with the catchers and the pitchers covering home. Those weren't in the alpha. They're actually in the build that we're playing now, but in the closed alpha version of the game, none of those new animations were in there. So, I mean, we can pretty much tell you that there's been a lot of work on what happens when the catcher has blocked balls, the ball is right in front of him, and how the pitcher is supposed to really cover home in a much better way than he did in last year's game. Again, something we'll talk about more in the gameplay stream. Another thing about animations, branching throws from the catchers through slides to try to do something which I don't want to reveal yet. Those also weren't in the game. So if you saw some kind of wonky stuff going on, don't worry, we have tons of new animations there. We'll talk about it more in the gameplay stream. More responsive and more efficient animations and motions. None of those were in the closed alpha build. All those brand new animations, there's over 1,000 of them, will be in the final version of the game. And again, we'll give you more info in the gameplay stream. The last thing is steals are still being balanced. That's something that we're going to be working on until we finish the game. So steals still being worked on. So before we move on from hitting, Lance, am I missing anything? Nope, we're good? All right. Next thing I want to talk about, online and servers. We had some problems early and often, as I'm sure you experienced. The closed alpha mostly identified some of these issues that have already been addressed since we had the closed alpha. Specifically with our login process and having users on for the first time, these are issues that would have been seen at launch. Seeing them in the alpha gives us a chance to focus on that area and hopefully rectify that before the game launches on the 23rd and 27th. While the servers did go down a number of times, this was primarily due to the dev team updating server code. So we pretty much caused all of the servers going down. That was on us. We were working out some fixes there, and also thank you for all those reports you guys sent us. We hope you noticed the increased speeds, making things faster when you're getting in and out of the game and going through the menus. Hopefully that's something that you noticed, something that we worked on. We wanted the menus to be a lot faster so you could go from point A to point B a lot faster than you could in MLB The Show 17. We did find issues with stats not counting, missions, resetting mission progress. We found issues with marketplace transactions not being processed. We've identified these problems and we are in the process of addressing all of them. We completely understand that this is a very huge, important part of the game and hope to have all of those rectified before launch. Another thing that we're constantly looking at is obviously disconnects and incorrect wins and loss records. That's something that we're still working on improving right now. Game crashes and client crashes. A lot of those happened during the closed alpha. This was helpful, allows us to fix those crashes before we launch the game. Plans and next steps. We're still looking at all the feedback. We're still developing the game. We're still addressing issues from the closed alpha. As we start talking about the game more, you will hear more and more about the things we've changed or improved based on the closed alpha feedback and based on what we saw on our side based on the server code and server logic. Lastly, also, thank you. Just thank you. Thank you for participating in the closed alpha. We really appreciate it. You guys helped us out a lot. You playing the closed alpha and sending us your feedback is very instrumental in helping making MLB The Show 18 the smoothest launch that we can possibly make. And we'll tell you a lot more about it and a lot more about the features that'll be in MLB The Show 18 in the coming weeks. So thank you, and we out.